Don't go snowboarding in Utah without first watching this video. Snowboarding Utah is absolutely legendary. Whether you're snowboarding, skiing, whatever way you're going, Utah has some of the best riding in all of North America. I've put together 8 essential tips that you're gonna wanna hear whether you've already booked your trip or you're in the process of booking it. These are 8 things that I learned from our trip to Utah last snowboard season. I did get to spend a week snowboarding Utah last season. We got super lucky. We got to experience the absolutely legendary Utah powder basically the entire time we were there. So these are 8 tips that I think will be really helpful to you if you're out there planning your next ski or snowboard vacation. The first thing you're gonna have to figure out when you're planning on going to Utah is which resort are you gonna go to? Utah has tons of different ski resorts. All of them are great and fantastic in their own way. I made a little video talking about each one of the resorts that we went to personally and just give kind of a brief overview of what that resort's about, who it's for, as well as I do have full guides coming out for these resorts, full resort reviews, other tips more specifically focused on each individual resort. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, or if you are planning a snowboard trip to Utah, make sure you subscribe because I will have all that stuff coming out over in the off season so that way when snowboard season rolls around, you can go to wherever your snowboard destination is with the most info. So definitely subscribe because all that stuff is coming. But back to my point. You need to decide which resort you're gonna go to in Utah because there's different resorts on different passes. Whether you have an Icon Pass or an Epic Pass, whether you get a multi-day pass, you need to know which pass to go with depending on that resort. So knowing which resort you're gonna go to ahead of time is just gonna help you out so that way when you get the pass, you know which resorts you can go to with that particular pass. Also, just for the record, if you are planning on going, buy your passes now. I don't care when you're watching this, the earlier you buy your pass, the better. The prices gradually go up over the off season, and then once we get into the main season, well, they're at full price. So definitely if you are planning on going to Utah, go ahead, figure out which resort you want to go to, and go on and lock in that pass early so you get the absolute best price on the pass. Because your lift ticket, you want to save as much money as you can because they do get quite expensive if you wait till last minute. The next thing, number 2 on the list that you want to find out is whether you want to stay in Salt Lake City or whether you want to get a ski in or ski out room at the actual resort. So typically it's going to be a whole lot cheaper if you do stay in Salt Lake City. You're going to get a better price. Hotels.com is definitely going to probably be your better option for finding a room if you're wanting to stay in town. It's going to significantly reduce your price. However, the drawback to this is that you'll have to travel every morning. Depending on which resort you're going to, you'd probably be looking at anywhere from a 30-minute to 30-minute to an hour drive, assuming there's no traffic or delays, depending on where you're going. And there is a lot of avalanche work. Traffic does get backed up, so that is something to factor in. If cost is an issue though, your cheapest bet is going to be able to stay in Salt Lake. However, if you can swing it, I think you're going to maximize your experience the most by getting a ski in, ski out room depending on where you're going. Solitude has some, Snowbird has some, Park City has a whole bunch. Just depending on which resort you're going to, figure out whether you want to save money and kind of stay in a centralized location and drive out to each resort, or whether you want to stay at one resort and then if you do go elsewhere, you will have a longer drive. So you kind of got to weigh your options. If you're staying in a resort, if you do want to get a ski in, ski out, typically the prices I've found right now, VRBO, which I do have linked down in the description, I do have affiliate links to that as well as all of my gear that I use. That's what I've found to be the best prices. Sometimes Airbnb, VRBO, Airbnb are going to be your best bet to find those ski in, ski out condos. I'll link those down below. If you are having some trouble finding a room or you know kind of what you want, comment that down below and I'll try to help you out as best I can. I'm normally really good at being able to find and search and get some really great deals. So comment down below if you're looking for a room. I'll definitely try to help you out as best I can. Number 3 on the list is going to be a rental car. There are shuttle options, but they are a little bit more expensive. So I think if you're going snowboarding or skiing in Utah, the rental car is definitely going to be your best bet. At the time when we took our trip, Alamo had the cheapest rental cars. It had no additional hidden taxes, fees, or add-ons that some of these other companies typically try to throw in there. What we saw online was the price we paid, and our car was really great. You definitely, if you're traversing the canyons, either Big Cottonwood Canyon or Little Cottonwood Canyon, you definitely need a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicle, because oftentimes what they'll do is they will put in a traction law into effect, and you either have to have 4-wheel, all-wheel drive, or snow chains to be able to get up the canyon. So you want to go on and make sure that you have a rental car that is equipped with that. And actually, one of the great things, and I know the SUV that we had with Alamo had these, there'll be a little sticker on the windshield that'll show it's Utah Department of Transportation Cottonwood Canyon certified. It'll have a little tiny sticker on the windshield. If it is, definitely, if you're unsure when you're booking your rental car, call the rental car company and make sure that you're getting all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive vehicle. I can't imagine anything worse than getting all the way there and then your rental car, you know, you want all that snow, you want to see those big snow dumps coming, but then you're not able to take your car up in the canyon because they do put the traction law in effect a lot. While we were there, it was pretty much in effect the entire time that we stayed in Utah. Now, number 4, if you are staying in a ski in, ski out condo, up in either one of the canyons, your best bet is going to be able to go on and get your groceries, food, snacks, anything you're going to want for the duration of your ski or snowboard trip. You want to get all that while you're in Salt Lake City before you drive up into either one of the Cottonwood Canyons. The reason being is that there's not as many options, especially not really grocery options. You're going to be severely limited if you wait till you get up in the canyon, as well as the prices are going to be a lot more expensive. So in Salt Lake, there's just tons of Walmarts. If you go into your Google Maps or your Maps app on your phone, just put in Walmart, you can go to any of those grocery stores, go on and load up on all your groceries before you go to your condo, because that way it's going to save you from having to come back out of the canyon, and you don't want to pay a higher price or, you know, be limited on what kind of food and snacks you're going to want while you're, you know, there trying to enjoy your snowboard trip for the week. If you're going to Park City, you do have a little bit more options in terms of food and stuff that is around Park City, but I still think it's cheaper and you have a lot more options to just kind of get in, get out on these Walmarts that aren't very crowded and get all your groceries. I think your best bet is going to be able to go on and get all your groceries while you are in Salt Lake City before you drive up to the room that you're staying in. And on that note, I want to talk about number 5. Hydration. While you're buying all of your groceries, get a ton of water. I mean, get more than you think you're gonna need. The Utah air is just really dry. We've never really, in all of our travels, we've never gotten dried out. Even when we've gone to Colorado, quite like this. We were drinking so much water all the time. We'd wake up in the morning going, feeling like we'd swallowed sand. And so we were just chugging water left and right trying to stay hydrated. So you definitely, if you're not used to that really dry air, and plus you need to stay hydrated anyway, definitely drink as much water as you can. When we go on trips, we buy big packs of bottled water just because, you know, whatever tap water you're used to drinking at home, when you go to these other places, it's not gonna taste the same. So we always just, and plus you just wanna make sure you're drinking safe, clean water. So we always buy big packs of water. Definitely when snowboarding in Utah, buy a bunch of water to take with you. Plus, on top of just staying hydrated in general, if you are somebody coming from a much lower altitude, personally, I don't think you'll have any trouble with altitude sickness at Utah. They do have the little oxygen containers. If you do think you are prone to altitude sickness, definitely pick those up. However, just staying hydrated will help alleviate that anyway. We didn't have a problem with it, but that is just one other thing. You want to stay super hydrated because you're going to dehydrate faster and you are at a slightly higher elevation. So definitely buy lots of water. Number 6 on the list, and this is one of the most important tips I have. This is one of the most useful tools that we had while we were on our snowboard trip. Follow the Utah Department of Transportation Instagram. They will post any sorts of traffic updates, road closures, avalanche work, what windows you can drive, like when the traction law goes into effect, what time windows you can traverse the canyons. They post that all nonstop on their posts as well as on their stories. This is the most helpful tool you will have while you're there if you are planning on driving any of the roads really in Utah, but particularly the Little Cottonwood Canyon and Big Cottonwood Canyon. Definitely follow this Instagram, click the notification bell so that you follow along and get updates. If you were planning on driving any whatsoever, this is the most helpful tool for updates on your road conditions while you're having your stay there in Utah. And as well as following this Instagram, go on and follow each of the resorts. Whatever resorts you do decide on going, they each have their own Instagram and YouTube pages. Go on and follow their Instagram and their YouTube pages. They're gonna post all sorts of daily snow totals, upcoming weather. They'll do, like, I know if you're going to Solitude in particular, they would do the Solitude chatter. And basically if I saw that, I was like, oh, they're expecting a powder day. They're expecting heavy snow. So each of these resorts will post their own updates. It's also really useful for just tracking their snow, tracking their weather, the temperatures, this and that. Follow them on Instagram, YouTube, as well as on their website. They have all those great tools you're gonna need to track their snow totals, weather. That way you know what to expect while you're up there on the mountain, because the weather can change pretty rapidly and it's great to have a tool. Plus, if you have all these, it's just great to be able to have and access all of that information at your fingertips. Which also kind of flows me into my next tip on this list, is each resort also has their own app. So as well as I follow them on social media to get all sorts of different updates on conditions and things like that, each resort will have its own specific app with live webcams, again, their weather, snow tracking, it'll tell you your lift times. It's just super, super helpful to have. I had all the resorts on my phone. Each resort has their own specific app. If it's on the Epic Pass, it'll be on the Epic app. Definitely utilize that. That way you can maximize your time on the mountain. The biggest thing that we used it for once we were actually on the mountain is just tracking lift times, because we'd get on the app, see, oh, this lift has a super short line, so we'd go to that lift. And it always was super accurate in terms of lift times, the temperature, the snow totals. It did a really great job just keeping you updated on all of that information. And it was a lot more accurate than if I was trying to use like other snow tracker apps or weather apps, things like that. That gave me that mountain's, specific stats, and it was coming from a local source. And lastly, whether you're staying in Salt Lake City or whether you got to ski in, ski out, if you are planning on driving to a different resort that day, make sure you leave super, super early ahead of time, because like I said, the road conditions can get kind of wild. If they get snow, they have avalanche control out nonstop. People start driving into the canyons and getting in the parking lots really, really early. I know Snowbird in particular fills up super early. It gets a lot of heavy traffic. Brighton has a lot of traffic. So definitely, if you do plan on driving to a different resort than where you're staying, or whatever, leave extra early ahead of time. Give yourself tons of time for road conditions, traffic, plus that way you can guarantee yourself you're gonna get a good parking spot and be there right when the lifts open, ready to roll. Also, just another bonus tip, Solitude, Utah does open their lifts earliest out of all the resorts in Utah. Solitude opens at 8 a.m. They'll post which lift is opening. It does fluctuate. I noticed throughout the season it was a different lift when we were there than it was at the end of the season, but they do post that updates on their social media. So bonus tip, Solitude lifts spin first. So I hope you found all this information helpful. If you did, please smash that like button. It's gonna really help me out. And if I missed something, if you have been to Utah, or there's something you think that I forgot, definitely comment down below so that way other people can see it and we can talk about it and help get more knowledge out there so that people can go to these vacations, to these ski and snowboard destination trips with the most knowledge possible. And also, if you do have any questions, comment those down below. I'll do my best to help you out. Like I said, we've been to Brighton, Solitude, Snowbird. We did a day just kind of exploring Park City. I definitely plan on going back and visiting all of the Utah resorts, because like I said, the Utah snowboarding is just absolutely legendary and literally the best snowboarding I've ever had in my life. So I definitely plan on going back. Everything that I mentioned in this video, different websites, apps, I'll try to link as much of that as possible down in the description below. I'll also post it in the comment, as well as in the description I have all my personal gear, a couple affiliate links sprinkled throughout. So if there is anything you're planning on booking and I do have links to it, I'd really appreciate it if you do use my link. It does help me out and help support the channel. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. I hope you have a fantastic trip and that you get to experience some of that legendary Utah powder like I did. I'm Alex from Boards, Bikes, and Hikes. We'll see you in the next one.